We got an absolutely beautiful blue sky today, and I'm so grateful to be out here. It's actually a little hot today, but just so grateful that I'm even able to stand out here right now, which is going to change in about a minute because these people are coming down to walk their dogs and they're going to be talking, but I'll be back. I didn't feel like waiting for them, so I teleported. Hello. Okay. Today I want to talk about what my current symptoms are and how I got here. So I made a video before, but I will kind of just sort of rehash what hyperacusis was for me when I was at my worst. You know, basically when I would get up, even just the rustling of my clothing against, my sheets was painful to me. And couldn't flush the toilet, I couldn't really walk anywhere outside because even wearing protection, having cars drive by me was painful and would leave me with reactive tinnitus. Occasionally, I would Uber to an appointment with double protection. But other than that, even like barely any cooking, would put off a lot of showers. I would say that my hyperacusis was quite severe. And as I shared with y'all recently, last week I walked to 7-Eleven. It was the middle of the night, and I, was wearing my protection and everything, but I did it. I would still consider myself functionally housebound. I'm grateful that when I need to do something, like take the trash out, the plastic bags, I think we all can agree that plastic bags can, go pound sand. But with double protection, I can do it. I used to have to put it off for days, because I'd still get a setback. And now it's just like, routine. If I need to take a shower, most days I can pop in my earplugs and do it. Or even when there's no lawn equipment, come outside and step out for a little bit. Cars driving by are still quite painful, so I have to avoid those. I don't really leave the neighborhood. It's still a far cry from where I was though. And I try to focus on the positive and be grateful that I've had improvement. I'd say it's been about 9 months or so since I was at my worst. And, still got to put a lot of stuff off, like getting a haircut. But, because I have to, I have the barber that I've trained and, I come in when nobody else is there, but how I got here was silence, spending time in silence, I'm to the point now where, with the exception of the next door neighbor, if somebody's doing yard work outside, as long as I'm inside, I don't even have to wear protection. For the longest time I did. If something hurt or was uncomfortable or was stressing my ears, I would protect against it. And I mean, that's really what I did, it wasn't that complicated. And I realized not everybody has this luxury. I had the luxury. I mean, I'm unemployed and I'm barely scraping by, but I had the luxury to have somebody help me and give me a place to stay. And somebody who respects the fact that I have this condition. And I cannot overstate how important staying in silence is when your ears are in pain or getting overloaded. I do not see this as a push-through-it condition. And this channel is for everybody. Different people have different experiences. And then, you have people with loudness hyperacusis who it does seem over time with, gentle graded exposure get better. And some people, even with pain hyperacusis, find that they, have to push the edges a little bit. But better safe than sorry, If you can, stay in quiet, Don't try to go to that movie, that club, that loud restaurant. Like, it's not worth it. It's not worth the possibility of how bad this can get. I do want to end on a hopeful note saying that, this can get better. Am I cured? Far from it. Am I a heck of a lot better than I was? Yeah, definitely. So I just want to encourage people not to lose hope, but also to be really careful, I've kind of made a point of not going too deep into protect or not protect, expose or don't expose, because I've been trying to sort of just focus on the hope, but I do want to underline that this is a condition that can get worse. For most people, it does get better to an extent. And the safest way to do that is to let your ears rest when they need it. I also, maintain that it's important to sort of push the edges. What do I mean by that? Sometimes take risks, but risks that you're sure that you will be able to recover from. Maybe turning on the sink just a little bit for 1 second, see how you respond to that. Nothing extreme. And I'm not perfect. I make mistakes. I listen to music at 38 decibels, which is fairly quiet, but it was still too loud for me, and I didn't listen to what my ears were telling me, and I got a 2-month setback. So be careful, stay hopeful. Daniel with Hyperacusis Hope. Peace, y'all.